I have here an Akai GX-F90 deck, a cassette deck. It, I believe, was made from 1979 to 1982. I'm not sure about the dates. It's a beautiful deck, very, very good sound quality. When I got this deck, it did have a problem. Um, I was able to fix a similar problem with another deck of the same model. And I also saw some postings in some audio forums where people have posted that they were encountering the same problem. So I decided to put a solution to that problem so that it can help someone else who's trying to fix their deck. The problem is that when a play button is pressed, the tape will run for about 5 seconds and then will shut off or disengage. The same is with the fast forward and rewind buttons. When you press these buttons, the tape would run for about 5 seconds and shut off. Now, the problem basically happens when there's a problem with the tape counter belt here. There's a belt which runs the counter. That belt is connected to the tape counter at one end, and it is connected to this reel at the other end. In between, there is a tape movement sensor wheel. If the tape belt, or rather the counter belt, is broken, or if it has come off, or if somebody tries to replace that belt and basically thread it incorrectly, then that's what will cause this problem of this tape shutting off. As if the sensor wheel is not moving properly, the deck will sense that the tape is not moving, and it will disengage and shut off. So anyway, without much further ado, I will walk you through the steps of what needs to be done. Now, first thing when you have this deck is to remove this cover. This cover has 3 screws here on this side, and similarly 3 screws on the other side. So you loosen them and take the cover off. I already have the cover off here. The second step is to remove the front panel, this front panel. To remove this front panel, you have to remove 6 screws, 3 at the top. One is right here, another one is here, and then there's another screw here. Make sure when you remove these screws that you are careful that you remove the washers. There are these half moon washers which are right under the screws. So if you're not careful, you may lose them, or they will just fall off. So make sure you carefully put these washers away. There are 3 more screws at the bottom, one here, one in the middle, and one at the end. Once you take those screws off, you can pull this panel out. I have already loosened the screws and taken them out. So here you carefully can remove the panel. The next step is to remove the ribbon cables here. So there is a ribbon cable here and another ribbon cable right here. So make sure you mark the orientation of these cables so that when you put them back, you would be able to put them in with the right orientation. So the next step is to just take these out, and this way your panel will come out cleanly. Once this cover is out, the next step is to press this and open this door. You see there is a metal cover right behind it. You will have to remove this metal cover. This metal cover is held in place by 2 screws. one screw is right here, and there's another screw right here, a very tiny one. Be very careful. These are really tiny screws. You have to very carefully remove them. Preferably use a magnetic screwdriver. Take these screws out. I have already taken these screws out, and the next step would be to remove this metal cover. As you can see, once you press the eject button, there are these two levers. These two levers that you see at the top, which are moving. You have to push it in while you are removing the cover so they don't get in the way. I will have to remove the cover, and then we'll proceed. I'll have to stop the video here so I can use both hands to basically remove the cover. Once you remove these two screws, it's really not difficult to move it out, but it's a pretty fragile cover, so you don't want to mar it or scratch it in any way. Oh, I'll just stop here. So now the cover is off. This is the cover that I took off just now. So once the cover is off, you can see that there is this belt here. There's this belt here. One end is threaded onto this reel here. There's this sensor wheel here, and this belt is further going, and there's a wheel behind this counter, and the belt is threaded around it. Now, if this belt is loosened with age, because of age, if you change it, your deck will work just fine. The other reason is sometimes this wheel, the belt comes off this wheel, and if this happens, then the sensor wheel doesn't work, and in that case also your deck will stop after 5 seconds. A very important point here is that you notice the way the belt is threaded. It goes up, goes around, and comes at the bottom of this wheel to move this wheel counterclockwise when the deck moves, or in the right direction. I have, in the case of this deck, when I opened it, I found out that this belt came here, went around, and then somebody threaded it at the top, which reversed the direction of travel of this wheel. And that is what was causing the deck to not sense the movement properly, the movement of the tape, and it was shutting off. So the fix is very simple. Either if this belt is broken or it is very old and loosened, you need to change this belt, thread it here. I think you will have to remove the whole mechanism to access this. It may be a little difficult if everything is not disassembled. Or the second thing is, if the belt is broken, replace the belt. Make sure you properly install the belt going on the wheel here, behind the wheel behind the counter. The belt comes here, goes around, and it should go at the bottom. You can see, I think, a little bit, I don't know, I'm not sure if you can see clearly or not, but the belt goes at the bottom of this wheel to turn this wheel in the right direction. So once you take care of it, the other steps will be just simply to put the cover back and just carefully reassemble the front panel and the cover, and your deck should be working fine. I hope this helps somebody fix their deck. It's a marvelous deck, built like a tank. although a little complicated. I have noticed dealing with three different decks of the same model that this whole transport mechanism gets noisy in many of these decks, and I think I have read similar complaints on the forums about these decks. This mechanism is pretty difficult to disassemble and work with. I have not tried to disassemble it at all. I have another Akai GX-F90, which is very noisy. Although it works fine audio wise, but its mechanism is pretty loud. Anyway, I will probably experiment and tear it apart and see what can be done. But for the time being, that's all, folks. Thank you very much. Bye.